All right, so if you're an app developer, you already know that ads can be your absolute biggest moneymaker. But man, getting them right can be tricky. Today, we're going to break down a strategic guide for Google AdMob so your ads finally start working for you, not against you.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? Are your ads actually boosting your bottom line? Or are they just annoying your users and pushing them to hit that uninstalled button? It's a super delicate balance, and we're going to figure out how to find that sweet spot. So here's the secret. You've got to stop thinking of your AdMob settings as just some long checklist you have to get through. Instead, think of it as a strategic toolkit. We're going to frame this whole thing around 3 really powerful levers you can pull to perfectly tune your app's ad experience.
Let's dive right into our first lever, controlling the ad topics. This is all about deciding what kind of subject matter is actually a good fit for the audience that you've worked so hard to build. The way you do this inside AdMob is with something called sensitive categories. Seriously, just think of these as simple on-off switches for different ad topics. If you've got an educational app for kids, you probably don't want ads about dating popping up, right? Well, this is exactly where you go to prevent that. Let's see how this works in the real world. For a kids app, it's a no-brainer. You're going to block categories like dating and politics. But see, for a news app, those same categories could be totally relevant and actually pretty profitable. But here's the key thing to notice. See how both of them block get-rich-quick ads? Yeah, some categories are just universally spammy, and you're better off without them. Okay, on to our second lever, ad maturity. Now, if the first lever was about picking specific topics, think of this one more like the master volume dial for the overall appropriateness of every single ad that could show up in your app. You manage this through the ad content ratings, which, yeah, they should look pretty familiar. It goes from G for general, which is super strict, family-safe stuff, all the way up to MA for mature audiences. Honestly, this is your first and probably your best line of defense for filtering ads with broad strokes. So here's how you'd actually use it. For that kids app, you just set it to G. Done. Easy. But for, say, a gaming app that has a much broader audience, T for teens can be a really great balance. It lets more types of ads in, which means more potential revenue, without showing anything that's, too mature. And that brings us to our third and final lever, which is all about a really specific, really important type of ad, ads for other apps. This is where you have to decide how you're going to handle your competition. And this is where you run into a classic developer dilemma. On one hand, you can block ads from your competitors to stop them from poaching your users. But on the other hand, app install ads often pay really, really well, so allowing them can be a huge boost to your revenue. It's a tough call. But, and this is a big but, you have to be careful not to get too aggressive here. If you start blocking too many app categories, your fill rate, which is just the percentage of times an ad is actually available to show, can plummet. And if no ad is shown, well, you earn zero revenue. So here's a much smarter, more surgical approach. Let's say you have a utility app, like a scanner or a file manager. Don't just block all other utility ads. Instead, focus on blocking just the fake, spammy, low-quality ones. This protects your app's reputation and your users' trust without completely nuking your revenue potential. So, we've walked through the 3 levers: topics, maturity, and competition. Now let's pull it all together into a simple, repeatable playbook that you can use for ongoing optimization. These are the pro tips to live by. First, always preview some ads from a category before you block the whole thing. You might be surprised. Second, use those broad content ratings as your safety net and then use category blocking as your precision tool. And remember, keep the blocking minimal to protect that all-important fill rate. And finally, get in the habit of checking in on how different ad categories are actually performing. And this leads us to what might be the single most important action item here. This is not a set it and forget it situation. The ad world is changing constantly. You need to revisit your settings, especially your category blocks, at least once a month. Look, your ad strategy has to be a living, breathing part of your app. So think about these 3 levers we've talked about: topics, maturity, and ads. My question to you is, what's one setting you're going to go test this week? Because that's how you really start to master this game.